Good evening, everyone. I hope today finds you having a beautiful Sunday evening. This is Brian and Janice. We are back to you. We've been on a slight sabbatical for the last month, and we've had several people to inquire about when were we coming back on. Well, we're back, okay? So, again, I would like to say good evening, and I hope this finds everybody having a wonderful weekend. And we're so honored to be back with you today. We want to talk about a complexity of issues in our Black community. But I want to start off asking you a simple question. Are Black Americans better off now than we were, I'm going to make it simple, post-pandemic than we are, I say pre-pandemic, than we are post-pandemic? I said it to that to give you a timeline. Basically what I'm asking, do you see Black Americans as faring better now than we were even 5 or 10 years ago? So with that being said, Brian and I have an awesome show today, and we're going to start right now.
Well, hello, Facebook family. Hello, YouTube family. We are glad to be back. We've been on a hiatus. Janice says sabbatical.
A sabbatical.
But we are happy to be back with you guys, sharing with you all as friends, family, and even those that will join us that are strangers that we don't know.
Right.
So we're just excited. But very powerful question that Janice proposed to us today as it relates to our subject matter concerning pre- and post-pandemic situations and conditions relating to Black people. And I think we have to really delve into that question. We really have to give it some critical thought and look at not only where we are now, but as Janice said, look at where we were pre-pandemic and even prior to the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
just a few years ago, just five, let's say 5 years ago.
Yeah, just five, like you said, 5 years ago. Are we better off is the question. You know, are Black people in a better condition? And when we say condition, we're speaking of just an array of things that we want to look at. Janice is in the healthcare profession, so we will deal with a little bit of that as it relates to our health and health issues that plague Black people. We'll look at the psychology portion of that, which deals with our mental
health,
our mental state of being,
yes,
as well as my expertise, financial, and spiritual,
yes,
condition. Are we really better off now, or are we worse than we were prior to the pandemic?
And then we want to look at, Brian, are we cycling downward? Are we trending downward? Are we getting better? You know, with everything that's available to us now, all this new technology, AI, and you name it, we have so many more advances in our society now than we did even 5-10 years ago. So the question is, are we faring better or are we worse?
All right, so let's get into it.
Yes.
Let's talk about what you want to do health first, since you're the healthcare professional.
I will talk about healthcare.
Okay, so let before you go into it, I want to look at 3 categories.
Okay.
In the healthcare profession that you could speak to.
Okay.
The first is obesity. The second is hypertension. And then the third would be stress.
Okay.
So can you, and I have the stats from the CDC, so we're not flying in the dark.
All right, we do have a radar, right?
That's right. We're going to give positive information that you can actually go and find yourself. We're going to give you information that is eye-opening, but we like to cite the source, CDC. Reason that I go there first is because it pretty much dictates as relates to the numbers.
Okay.
Where we specifically concerning particular morbidities, as well as breaking it down by race or ethnicity.
Okay.
Okay, so I want you to help us to understand, as far as those three categories: obesity, hypertension, which is high blood pressure, and stress. Where are Black people today post that pandemic, prior to like I said, where are we today post pandemic?
Okay.
Okay.
Now, what I want to say
And then we'll look at pre-pandemic.
Okay. I cannot give you a statistical number. I'm sure Brian has done the research on that. What I am going off of is my everyday life, what I deal with on a daily basis, and what I see on a daily basis. Obesity is at an all-time high in the African American community. I'm only speaking of the African American community. What I am seeing is that the more women are stressed, and men, we are gaining weight, especially in the area of the abdominal area. When the pandemic was out, people weren't going to the gym. We weren't joining gyms. We weren't doing a lot of walking. We were not eating properly. We were just, eating because a lot of us were pinned in the home. And what I'm going to say with that, and what we see a lot of, and I hear my doctor stressing, because more people are working from home. You're sitting at a computer, at a desk all day. You're not active anymore. You're not getting out, whereas when you were working, you have to get up in the morning, get dressed, walk to your car, park your car, you're at the office, you're walking throughout the office, you're going out to lunch, and what have you. Whereas now that you're working, a lot of us are working from home, you are lying dormant, basically, throughout the day. You're sitting at a desk, you're eating at the desk, you only get up to go to the bathroom and maybe to fix yourself something to eat. So that in itself, and you're not really interacting with people on a physical level. You're talking to people maybe through the computer or on the phone, but you're not interacting with everyday people like you were when you were interacting with your coworkers on a daily basis. Maybe they were inviting you to go out to walk or go out to lunch or go out to an event. So there you have it. We're more docile. We're not getting up and we're not moving like we used to. Number two, all of these conditions compile onto hypertension. When you're larger and you're not moving as much, you know that's going to take the blood pressure up higher, because the heart is having to work harder to pump the blood throughout the body to get the circulation going. But if you're sitting at a desk or sitting in a chair or sitting on a sofa, some people told me that they actually work from bed. And I'm like, work from bed? Yes, I have my laptop in my bed and I'm sitting right there in bed. I don't even get up and I have my pajamas on. I said, wow, so you're not moving at all. Basically to go to the bathroom to fix me something to eat. So there you have it there. You have a combination of things that are going on, that you're not getting that exercise and you're not getting the circulatory system activated. And then we want to look at stress. Yes, you say, well, I'm not in the office. I'm not around a lot of people, so why am I stressed? You're stressed for a number of reasons. Number one, you don't know how long this process is going to last. A lot of businesses are saying, okay, the pandemic is, in our mind, is over. Everybody's had their COVID vaccines. So now you can come back to work. Well, you've gotten so comfortable at home, working from home, that, hey, I don't want to go back to work. Now I'm going to have to get up and get up earlier and get to work. Well, that's a thing that we're dealing with now. And one thing that Brian left out is that people that have developed COVID, just say on more than one occasion, they're having problems with lung disorders. And they're calling it, there are several things that they're calling it, but people are having more respiratory issues. They're having more difficulty breathing. They're having difficulty when they exert themselves. They get short of breath easily. So we've been sending a lot of patients to specialty clinics to address the lung issues. And what they're finding out is that COVID has caused a lot of fibrous tissue to develop in the lungs, which cause people to be short of breath.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm going to push back, like always. There's no excuse for being lazy, okay? Whether you are working from home or not, you can get your fat self off the couch. Get out
Brian!
the bed. Hold on now. I'm making a point here. You can get up off the couch, out the bed, and you can go walk. Now, see, that settles that. Next argument. Okay. It really, let's be honest. There's no reason that we can't. If you're confined to the bed, I understand.
Yes.
Okay. You're not confined to the bed. If you can get up and walk to the kitchen and make something to eat, you can get up, open the front door, and go outside and walk around the neighborhood.
Okay.
So hey, we don't listen. One thing I've noticed with black people, when we get complacent, we make up excuses for everything. We make up a reason to say, this is why I'm obese. So my challenge is, let's not make excuses. Let's do something about it. Start a walking club. Let's get all of our obese friends. As a matter of fact, this is what the doctor's office should do. Every black physician in Montgomery should have an obesity day to where they get all of their obese patients and they walk. Even if they can only walk 50 feet or 50 yards, it helps them to start.
Brian, what I tell people, a lot of people say it's hard to walk because they hurt. Their knees hurt, their back hurt. I get it. I totally get it. But what I do also get is that the more you're mobile, the mobility, the better the circulation gets to those areas. Everything evolves around the heart, the circulatory system. Mm-hmm. So the better the more movement that you do, the more you move, the more you ambulate, whether you dance, whether you run, whether you cycle,
just do something, just move.
Do something.
Yeah.
That helps with the pain. And I'm a witness.
And that helps with your weight.
It's definitely.
Because you're going to start burning calories.
Yes.
And then let's I'm going to give you the stats here, all right? But let's also deal with the fact that we have got to stop eating as much, okay? Part of obesity is eating too many hamburgers and French fries and, pork chops. Let's just be real.
Well, Brian, okay. I have a saying, and I kind of coined this phrase. I tell people, if it's white to eat, if you're a diabetic now, this is what I tell my diabetics and my patients that are trying to lose weight. If it's white to eat, it's not right. Mm-hmm. If it's not, and I tell them, name those white things, those white foods. Rice,
potatoes,
breads, potatoes. If it's white to eat, it's not right. What I'm not saying cut those things out completely because everybody needs a little carb. What I'm saying, you have to modify. We believe in portion size servings. I'm a big component of portion sizes. I don't eat to get full. I eat to live, meaning small portions.
Yeah. So you could do your portions. You can count your calories. But the main thing is black people. We have to be concerned about this. Is pre-pandemic numbers were off the charts. Post-pandemic, still, they have not trended in a positive direction. Okay, so I'm going to give you the numbers here from 2020.
Okay.
That's pretty much the start of the pandemic.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm going to give you the main 4 ethnic races in America today. Okay. This is the stats from the CDC. Hispanics. Obesity in men were 44.8%. Hypertension, high blood pressure in Hispanics, 2020, was 46.8%. Obesity in, Okay, so obesity in the women were 46.
Is this Hispanics, Brian?
This is Hispanics.
Okay.
Okay. Hispanic men obesity, let me get my stats right, was 44.8%, and hypertension was 46%.
Okay.
All right. In the women had a higher obesity level than the men. Hispanic, they were 46.8%, and hypertension was lower. They were 35.4%. Now, I took it upon myself, since I'm a insurance professional, to look up the percentage of Hispanics that had health insurance. 28.7% of Hispanic adults have adequate health insurance. Children under 18, 7.7% of the children either have, what is it for the children?
All kids, Medicaid.
Medicaid, or either all kids if you're in the state of Alabama. Life insurance, 32% of Hispanic adults have life insurance. Okay? Now let's go to our brothers and sisters.
African Americans.
Let's go to black people.
Okay.
Men, obesity, 38.7%. Hypertension for men, 56.8%. Brothers, 38.7% of us are obese according to the CDC. And 56.8%, over half of us, have hypertension or high blood pressure.
Wow.
Now, black women, 55.9% of black women are obese. Over half of black women today, sisters, come on sisters, I know we can get out and walk. That's something I do every day. If y'all want to start a walking club, come walk with Brian. We can call it the Walk with Brian Walking Club. We can talk about everything from from these stats. We can cover every subject you want to talk about. We can talk about science, technology, engineering, math. We can take the saxophone out. We can play saxophone. We can do some yoga. We can do some martial arts.
You made your point.
And brothers and sisters, let's start a walking club. Okay? I love to walk. Janice will tell you, if I don't get my walk in, it makes me irritable.
Yes.
It's become a way of life for me, and I enjoy it because it gives me that downtime to exhale, clear my thoughts, to also have that spiritual time and fellowship that I enjoy in nature. Okay, praying, all of those things that encompasses whatever your spiritual life is. You know, it gives you that, and then you getting exercise and you burning some fat.
Yes, you
You
are.
know, statistically, people that, and this is CDC also, that walk 5 days a week, at least 10,000 steps, which is equivalent to about 5 miles or a little bit less. Okay, 5 days a week, and you can mix the days up however you want. But the CDC says that those people, on average, loses roughly between 80 and 130 pounds within a 6-month period.
Wow.
Brothers and sisters, we can do this.
So if you don't want to lose that much, you just cut your walking time down.
Yes. And I'm sure that's not giving us the dietary portion of that.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So not so much as cut your walking down as it is cutting down your intake of what you're eating.
Yes.
So if you're eating bad, you can still walk but still be accumulating fat. And you're not burning fat as fast as you're putting it on.
Exactly.
So, but anyway, women, 55.9% obesity rate. Guess what? Women high blood pressure, also higher than men.
Yes, it is.
They were at 57.6%. Black women.
Because black women are carrying a lot of the stress of the family. They're raising the children. A lot of them are raising their grandchildren. We're We're worried about our children. If they're not,
Because, so there's the stress
There's the
factor. That's
stress.
what we were talking. That's why I wanted to deal
Finances.
with the stress.
Yes.
So, but they're not alone now. Let's not paint a broad brush on with black women, all black women with a broad brush.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so we can't say that all black women are dealing with the stress of having to raise children by themselves or
No, they're
the
not.
only five. No. We don't want to do that. That's unfair and that's not accurate as it relates to what we're looking at. You understand what I'm saying? So I understand that there are certain things that triggers our stress level. So we understand that. But
Don't worry about the big thing, menopause.
okay. But that's a certain age group, though.
Yeah.
So we don't want to paint with a broad brush.
Yeah.
Okay, we just want to give the stats,
Yeah.
and the stats say that black women have high blood pressure. That over half of black women suffer from high blood pressure, and of course, 57.6% stress level is higher than most other ethnic races and black men.
It's our nature we worry
Okay.
more.
Okay. Well, black men worry as well. When you're carrying the weight of the family, so there's a lot of factors that go into the stress level.
Yes.
Financially, when you cannot find a job, we can go on and on and on. Okay. When it comes to why we are so stressed as a people. Okay. When you're having to compete to keep your job, you talked about AI, what most people call artificial intelligence. Okay, but what we don't talk about when it comes to AI also is Android intelligence. So there are two forms of AI. We deal with the artificial intelligence because we see that now being in our workspace. You've got the chat box now. You can go to a doctor's office website and you're automatically going to see a chat box. And it'll ask you, what are you dealing with or this or that, and it'll tell you need to call 911 So, and it's programmed, okay, based off of your responses to give you a certain answer. All right? But when you got the Android intelligence, that is another level that I've been doing some research on that is actually going to surpass AI, artificial intelligence. Now, with both of those intelligences coupled together, we are going to be on a whole different level as far as technology, mechanism, industrialism, all of that now under Android intelligence can do the functions of human beings. Okay, so the first ones they're going to be replacing in the workforce are those that are least educated. You understand what I'm saying? Those that are that they feel are least equipped.
Yes.
To
do the job.
Do the job. Exactly. So we're looking at a complexity of things, brothers and sisters, that we need to really start, like I said, taking that deep dive, really critically understanding what are we doing. So here we are, Janice. Let me give white people stats too, but let me finish with black people. Health insurance. 13.6% of African Americans, black people, have health insurance in this country, as compared to 28.7% of Hispanics. Okay? Our children, under 18, 3.5% either have Medicaid, if you're in Alabama, all kids.
Based on income.
Based on income. Now, all kids, we know that.
Yes.
But I'm just talking about insurance, period. Okay? Only 3.5% of our children actually have insurance and can go to the doctor. So when our children are obese, I didn't give those stats, okay? But the obesity as it relates to African American children is higher than any other ethnic group in America.
Yes, it is.
And it is sad. Brothers and sisters, we can walk with our children. We can go to the park and play with our children. I did it. I've lived in the park. Live in the park now with my grandkids. You understand what I'm saying? We've got to do something to be mobile and to keep them mobile and active. We've got to get their face out of the Xbox and the Nintendo and PlayStation and
iPads.
all of iPads.
Don't leave it at iPads.
It frustrates me to no end to see a 4 and 5 year old child
That's constantly glued to a phone or an iPad.
And you want to go outside and play with them. They don't want to get up off the sofa and go play because their face is stuck in an iPad.
Well, it's got their mind.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying,
It draws them in.
saying parents got to do a better job. It is the parents' fault,
Yes.
not the child.
It
At
is.
4 and 5 years old, stick an iPad in front of them. Don't go outside and play with them. The parent fat, the child fat.
And giving them more snacks.
Everybody fat.
Giving them
You
more
understand?
snacks.
It doesn't make any sense. And giving them candy,
Chips,
potato chips,
cookies.
Fanta drinks. It's an atrocity. If you're going to commit suicide, do it quickly. Okay? Because that's what you're doing. When we don't take care of our business as it relates to especially health.
Yes.
Okay? When we don't care about our children enough to make sure that we're doing the right thing to give them an opportunity and a chance, at least in this society, to grow up healthy, that's a slow death. You know, there are more children now with renal failure and high blood pressure than has ever been in any point in history.
Yes, it is. Kidney disease.
Yes. So we got to do something. You understand? We can't continue to pacify and say, oh, he's so cute, she's so cute. Look at them little fat cheeks and fat legs. That's just foolishness. Them fat legs need to get out there and run. Okay? That's what them little fat legs and them little fat cheeks need to stop.
About grandbabies?
Need to stop eating. Yeah. If they overweight, absolutely, they need to come spend a whole month with granddad. I guarantee you they're going to go home slim. Okay? So, brothers and sisters, but seriously, we have to stop killing ourselves. Okay? Seriously, we have to start looking at what we are consuming and are we getting the proper amount of exercise. You should want to be here as long as you can for your children. You should want to be here as long as you can for your grandchildren.
Yes.
You should want to be here as long as you can for each other. Where black people have a problem is we don't collectively come together and say, sister, let's do something about your weight. Okay? Or brother, let's do something about your weight, man. Let's start a walk. I walk every day. Come meet me at the park at 4 o'clock every day. Let's walk together. Okay? But at one time we held each other accountable. See, part of the problem with black people, we don't have a code that says we love each other enough to where we will help take care of each other. We're so individualized.
Yes. And selfish.
And we're so, yes, part of that is a self-righteousness. We're so self-righteous and worried about what only happens to me
and mine,
and mine that we have forgotten that collectively we are better together. Okay? That's why black people, when it comes to even these stats, when it comes to that, that's why we are in the condition that we're in.
Yes, it is, Brian.
Because we don't truly care about one another. I've said this multiple times. I've said it from the pulpit. You all have heard me say it from the floor. We were separated in slavery. Okay, we were individualized in slavery.
Definitely.
all of those things, the brainwashing and the programming that happened to us on the plantation have carried over into the 21st century.
Exactly.
And we are carrying out some of the same things
Yes, we are.
that our ancestors did up under an oppressive whip.
Yes.
The only thing is the oppression now is in an institutional form called the government, called the educational system, called the healthcare system,
Yes.
called the prison system.
Yes.
Those things are still in place, and they are a big factor when it comes to guiding us. And let's not leave out the media and propaganda as it relates to social media now, as it relates to mainstream media now. All of those vehicles are still promoting the death of black people. Okay? And it has not changed.
When you think about this, Brian, let me interject for a minute. If I can keep you down by keeping you sick, keeping you overweight, okay? Overweight and keeping you sick, what are you able to do to help anybody?
That's true. That's a good point.
What can you do?
I mean, it's a sad commentary, but brothers and sisters, it's true. Okay? That's the stats. Now let me give you white folks. Okay? Our white brothers and sisters, men, 41.7% of the men are obese. 52.7% of men, white men, have hypertension or high blood pressure. Their women, 39.7% of the women are obese, and 45.4% of the women have hypertension. Okay? Obesity level for white women is lower than the men,
Mm-hmm.
but the blood pressure, 45.4% is lower
Mm-hmm.
than their men.
Mm-hmm.
So quite naturally, their longevity as far as life is longer
Mm-hmm.
than not only their men, but longer than black people, most black people. Okay? All right, now let's talk about the health insurance. This is going to startle you. It startled me. Out of white Americans, only 7.8% have health insurance. 7.8% have health insurance. Okay? Children under 18, only 2.6% have either Medicaid or some form of insurance. Life insurance, get this now. Life insurance, white America, 64% have life insurance. 72% have whole life policies that are sufficient enough to take care of a surviving spouse and pass wealth on to the children.
That's it. There you have it. There you have it. Yes.
So 7.8% insurance. I started thinking, why is that? Because most of them, a lot of them are business owners, and they make enough money to where they do not have to pay the extra expenditure for health insurance, which is the health insurance cost is so through the roof, you about can't afford anything else but the insurance. So they opt out of health insurance.
Exactly.
Okay? Because when they go to the doctor, they apply a check.
That's it.
You understand?
That's it. That's it.
Okay? And then those that are coming out of college, get started into their profession, they make enough to, when they have to go to the doctor, that annual physical, they can pay out of pocket. Not only that, is they exercise more than we do.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They participate in things of nature. Now, it's the irony. We could talk about. I could talk to you about an hour on the subject of why black people are afraid of water. There have been so many hypotheses and so many theories written on that we could go on for days, from prior to slavery. Okay? But white people love nature.
Yes.
I tell Janice this all the time. The park that I walk at has woods. So the trail, the walking trail goes through the woods. Okay? I'm the only black
Yes.
that's out there walking. But the little white folks, they love me. Hey, I'm way better but have a headphone. Can't hear, but I'm what? But it's amazing to me. And I say this to Janice. I said, the white folks out there running, walking, biking. Yeah, little old Brian, the little Negress, he comes out and he's out with his headphone walking, getting hot and sweaty, See, white folks look at us and they say, well, they don't like the sun.
Yeah.
The sun, they black.
But to bring it all together, we just got to do better.
Yes.
And we can. We just got to do better. And I tell Brian all the time because I'm not a walker. Mm-hmm. I'm not. But what do I do, Brian?
I don't know.
No, yes, you know what I do because I don't walk. What do I do? All the time. Stretch.
She stretched and she does because
my yoga.
I badgered her to the point where you gonna do something. Okay. You're not gonna walk, you gonna do something. So you need to do some yoga, you need to stretch, you need to do some exercise. And my brothers, I meant that. And it works, brothers and sisters.
It does.
Okay.
And I stretch.
Feel better.
Yes.
Look better.
Yes.
All of those things mean something. As you age, you should want to age gracefully. I tell her that all the time. I said, look, baby, nothing wrong with aging as long as you age gracefully. Okay? We should be, compliments. She gets compliments all the time about how pretty she is and when we're out, and people can't believe when she tells them her age, how old she is. And that is thanks to Brian.
No, it's not.
But seriously, we have to, I believe that if we take care of ourselves, then these bodies will take care of you. Now,
they will.
We're eventually, everybody's going the same route. Okay, we're all going to the grave.
That's exactly right.
So each day you wake up, you're closer to the grave. We understand that. But in the process, the quality of going to the grave, the quality of life that you have, you can control that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay, let me give you these last stats and we'll be done with this health issue as far as our people. Asians, men, obesity, only 14.2% of Asian men are obese. Their women, obesity, 16%. So slightly higher than the men. Okay? Hypertension, men, 49.4% of Asian men have hypertension, high blood pressure. Women, 43.6% have hypertension, so they're slightly lower. Health insurance, here again, only 6% of them have health insurance because they're self-employed.
They feel like they don't need it. They're so healthy. They pay for their annuals every year. They do that once a year. And if something comes back abnormal, what I see them doing is that they work on that, most of them holistically, do it naturally. And they correct it, So that is a big part of it.
Do you see, Janice, a lot of the Asian people that have hypertension is because they've resorted to a westernized diet?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
And that's the point I wanted to make, guys. When they resort to a Western diet, which consists of a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars, a lot of fats, then those diseases that those of us in the West have, they're going to start to also have as well.
Yes, that's correct.
So let me give you this stat as it relates to black people life insurance. Okay. In 2021, black people took out more life insurance than any other group in America. Do you know why?
COVID.
COVID. Now,
I saw it.
56% of black people went and got life insurance during COVID. Do you know what kind of life insurance they got?
No.
They got a burial policy that was $25,000 or less. My brothers, I've been in the insurance industry over 20 years. This will be 21 years this year. Okay? Let me tell you something. Most burial policies are scams.
Yes, they are, honey.
A funeral today is going to cost you every bit of $25,000, especially with inflation and the de-dollarization of our monies now. Okay? So the dollar is losing value. Inflation is going up. So things are doubling and tripling in cost. That's another subject we're going to have to tackle. We already talked about BRICS, but we're going to even go deeper now. Now that the world is on notice, and now that CNN and MSNBC is finally covering what we were talking about 3 or 4 months ago, they're now saying the same thing that we said 3 or 4 months ago. So we're going to take an even deeper dive at some point. But, brothers and sisters, when you get life insurance, if you cannot afford a whole life policy, take out a term policy.
Yes.
30 years at a minimum. Okay? And I can give you a lot more education on that. You can get a 30-year term policy for $200,000, depending on your age group and whether or not you're a smoker or a drinker, roughly for $30 or less a month.
Bingo. There you have it.
Okay? So, we'll deal with that. We can talk about that as well. Okay, so now let's talk about mental health as it relates to the different races and as it relates to age category from the ages of 18 through 44. Okay, Hispanic people. Hold on, before we get to stats, let's define mental health. What is mental health to you? What would you say mental health is?
Mental health is no different than your physical health. When you're dealing with mental health, you're talking about...
No, but what is it? Not what you deal with, what is, just like you define what hypertension is. We say high blood pressure. What are the causes of high blood pressure? You say it's obesity, it's fat in your body, which causes
Give
the
me
blood
your
pressure.
definition
Okay.
of mental health.
All right. So my definition of mental health is a psychotic limitation that one has either based on a, I don't want to say mainly, a psychotic or limitation that an individual has that has been caused by trauma, okay? Or either could be genetic, meaning that they could be born with limitations mentally, okay? Or either develops due to stress in society and not being able to function in society.
That's true.
So that would be my simple definition of mental health. Now, we have friends that are psychologists. They can give us a broader definition and probably a more detailed definition.
But what we do see, Brian, that COVID has escalated mental health issues.
That's a trigger of mental health.
It really
So that falls into what I said as it relates to
trauma.
Yes, the trauma of society.
Mm-hmm.
So we had some people that lost multiple loved ones in COVID.
Yes.
And, you had children that lost parents. You had parents that lost children. And that caused the stress level
to rise.
to go through the roof.
Yes.
The trauma of having to deal with the loss of a child and vice versa. Okay. That could be traumatic, especially if you're losing people back to back to back.
Yes.
You had the loss of jobs.
Yes.
You had the loss of homes. You had the loss of cars. You had the loss of basic needs such as foods, okay, basic personal hygiene items. You had people that could not even take baths because they were partially or rationing out hygiene needs, things like that for their family, just so their family could make it. So there are a lot of things, my brothers and sisters, and we have to deal with this because, listen, in the black community, our trauma is always much more than other groups because other groups do not deal with the institutional injustices that we deal with on a daily basis that limits us as it relates to what we can do and have in this society that other folks don't experience.
It's always
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like we have to fight so hard to get, to get the help. We have to fight harder to get people to notice what we're going through. We just can't. The resources, everything, we have to fight. Everything we do, we have to fight for it. And sometimes people just get tired of fighting and say, well, whatever, I give up.
Okay. So we dealt with a lot more.
Yes.
That triggered us into, psychotic breakdowns.
Yes.
That caused us to, people that never had bipolar disorder develop bipolar disorder.
Yes.
There were all types of mental trauma that we went through.
And anxiety, the anxiety is a big thing.
Depression.
It went through the roof.
Okay.
Yes.
So we have to be conscious and aware of those things, and we got to stop brushing them under the rug.
Exactly. And not be
Black
afraid to
people,
talk about them.
And not only that, we should not be afraid of getting some help.
Exactly.
Every other group seeks out help. Okay? But when a black person mentally is having to deal with the same traumas on an escalated level,
yes,
people will make it look like there's something wrong with you if you are reaching out for counseling, if you are looking for resources to help yourself mentally. Let me encourage you to, if you are suffering from anything mental, do not be ashamed.
to get help.
Okay? We all go through that battle.
Yes, we do.
Period. There's no one that is immune from that.
Yes.
And the truth be told, all of the ones that don't want you to know
Are the ones that are going
are
through
the ones that are actually experiencing it, probably more so than any other
That's
person.
exactly right.
Okay?
Yes.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. We have to remove the stigma from dealing with mental health. Okay? Because like I said, the trauma, listen, if you know your history, just the trauma of knowing what our ancestors went through could cause you to have a mental breakdown. I can tell you that from experience because I experienced that. In the process of really doing the research and finding out what my ancestors went through.
Yes.
Okay, and visiting over 8 slavery museums. You understand? To gather information so that I would be educated when I lectured on the transatlantic slave trade and seeing some of the devices that was used on them and knowing that they were not treated any better than a field animal, in seeing some of the old artifacts still with blood stains on them mixed with rust, it will cause you to experience a psychotic break almost, to know that your people went through atrocities that were so great that the normal human being would not be able to endure that and their race still be here.
Exactly.
That's why we are a special people.
We are.
Black people are chosen by God to be here. Now, I'll stand on that to the day I die, and I can prove it. Factually can prove it. But not to veer away from the subject, it causes you to have mental, flashes of what our people deal with. Listen, there was, and I was depressed. I got angry. I had to do a lot of, there had to be a lot of repairing, meditating, and praying to get beyond that to where I could actually go and teach kids about this history that was being denied in certain places. To step outside of a slavery museum and to go and talk to children and to help children understand the suffrage of the Middle Passage and how to move beyond that. It took me having to go to those places and experience that, but it took me having to go through it mentally as well to understand exactly what my ancestors endured and the suffering, and that me being here is a miracle. I'm a miracle. You are a miracle.
Yes.
Any person that is of African descent
And
that
here
is
today.
still alive,
That's right.
all across this world, this
Yes.
planet.
Yes.
You understand? We are miracles because we are the diaspora. We went to the four corners of the world. You understand? So every black person, whether you be Cuban, Brazilian, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. If you're part of a diaspora, you were colonized and your ancestors were shipped to that place that you now call your home. Whether it be America, Mesoamerica, it doesn't matter. And there was a lot that happened as it relates to them. So even having to deal with that type of trauma, even relearning your history, and I encourage everybody to learn their history, okay? And some of us to relearn our history. But in the process of that, guard your mind. Because you go through those battles. You'll go through the depression, the anxiety, like I said, the anger. All of those things will take place, okay? The trauma that that our ancestors experienced, you'll begin to feel some of those emotions, okay? So black people, we need to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Mentally, we need to really take care of ourselves. Find somebody that you can talk to. Okay? If you're not comfortable talking to a loved one, find a best friend and share with them. Or either create a social group where you all can share together.
And a lot of times writing it down.
Yeah, diary.
It helps you.
Yes, chronicle everything. I'm a writer, so I chronicle my life. Chronicle everything. I mean, put it in a diary. It'll help you feel better. Okay? So mental health is real. Okay? So let's talk about mental health among the races. And I'm going to just deal with 2021. In the Hispanic race, 12.8% of Hispanic people suffered from mental health issues, right? Okay. White people, 30.4% of white people suffered from mental issues. Blacks, amazingly, only 14.8% of African Americans suffered from
14.8% reported it.
That's
Most
okay.
don't
So
report it.
let's clarify. Okay, 2021, only 14.8%, according to the CDC,
Not reported.
black people reported that they suffer from mental issues. The great majority of black people did report. Now, when you take a deep dive, that as I did, and went to the Pew Research Center, it put it over 50%.
I bet it did. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Over 50%
Yes.
of black people have mental issues.
I totally
Okay,
agree.
so 40% is not reported. Okay, CDC gives you numbers that they want you to have anyway, so you got to go to multiple sources.
Yes, you
okay, all right. Asian 2021 10.8%. Okay, so they would be the lowest, and then Hispanic would be next. But out of that 12.8% with Hispanic, over 32% did not report mental issues.
Okay.
That would put them right at about 40% behind African American.
And women are going to report more than men anyway.
Absolutely. If I had it broken down by men and women, you probably have less than 5% as far as men, black men reporting mental issues.
Definitely.
And black men probably suffer from mental issues greater than any other group, be it male or female, be it black, white, Asian, or Hispanic.
Especially now with all of the policing issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, they get in their car and they're afraid they may not make it back home.
So let's talk about this. What leads you, and you said it when we were talking about mental issues, suicide. Let's talk about the suicide rate based off of mental issues. So some of the things we named as it relates to suffering from mental issues, anxiety, depression, we name those things. Okay. In the Hispanic population, from 2000, the year 2000 to 2012, the Hispanic suicide rate was 5.9 to 5.8%. Okay? From 2013 to 2020, it increased 29% and went up to 7.5% when the pandemic hit.
Yes.
Okay?
That did it.
Black people from 2000 to 2007, the suicide rate for black people was 5.6% to 5.1%. So it actually went down from 2000 to 2007. From 2008 to 2020, listen at this, brothers and sisters. From 2008 to 2020, it increased 53%. Suicide amongst black people. 53% went up to 7.8% by 2020, which was the start of the pandemic. Okay? White people, from 2000 to 2018, was 12% to 18.1%. Okay? From 2019 to 2020, theirs declined 7. Went down to 16.9%. So white people in 2019 and 2020, even though everybody else was escalating, theirs de-escalated. Their suicide rate went down while everyone else's
increased.
Went up. Okay? This is something interesting. Asian people in 2000 was 6.1%. 2020, when the pandemic hit, increased 12%, went up 7.1%. Now, this is per population. Okay? So it takes into account the population size. That's why you see the percentage higher than the actual number going up. Okay? So just to explain that so everybody knows what we're dealing with. Okay? But I thought that was very interesting. So when we talk about mental health is real. 53% hike for black people by 2020 is unheard of, because you never really hear about our children committing suicide. Now
you do.
My son have had 2 friends within the last 6 months. He will be a sophomore in college this year, and have had 2 of his high school friends within 6 months to commit suicide. It is sad, brothers and sisters. We have to address mental health. Do not be ashamed to address mental health. And we just need to accept that we're due this, we're owed this, and we need to accept the fact that There's nothing wrong with, especially with everything we've dealt with
Yes.
in this society, okay, and still have to deal with on a daily basis. There's nothing wrong with seeking out help, okay? So I encourage you, if you're dealing with that, find somebody to talk to, okay? Anything you want to say before we move to the next? What time is it?
Well, I think we've run out of time.
Oh, have we run out of time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to make up for all of our hiatuses we've gone on.
I see.
Okay. Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to end there. And what we will do next week, we will talk about the value of identifying yourself as a black person in America. I'm going to give you some research on that. Okay, give you some stats on that. But why is it important? Brothers and sisters, write this down. Those that are, you all that will join us next week so we can have a candid discussion. If you want to come on the show next week, tag Janice, because I don't do Facebook. Tag Janice. Let her know you want to be a guest on the show.
And we'll bring you on.
Yeah, we need to do a panel. If we can get maybe 3 people.
Yeah.
And maybe get a subject matter expert to talk about this. But why should African Americans, if you were born in America, why should you identify yourself as a black person at this particular time living in America? That's what we'll talk about next week. Okay?
I can't wait for that one. That's going to be interesting.
We will talk about the importance, if you feel it's important. We'll talk about different aspects of the research from a standpoint of economics, and if it actually benefits you to identify yourself as a black person now in this country. Okay, so we'll talk about that on next week. Fair enough?
Great. Yes.
All right, I'll let you close them out.
Well, everyone, we have truly enjoyed this show. Sorry, we may have gone over time a little bit, but it's been a minute since we've been here, and we are so honored to have most of you here that are frequent with us. So
we'll post it to YouTube as well.
We will also post it to YouTube. But in saying that, have a wonderful night. Have a blessed week.